You want me to roll that up for you?
You all ready?
Yep.
Alrighty. Good afternoon. My name is Jeff Herman with the law firm Herman, Mermelstein & Horowitz. I'm here today to announce the filing of a lawsuit against ASA Homecare. This case, we allege that my client, who's going by the name John Doe, is a 40-year-old man, and a few years ago, he was receiving some nursing care. He is a paraplegic who was injured in an accident when he was 18 years old. Prior to the assault we allege in this case, he had injured himself doing some horseback riding. He had an injury in his backside that required some nursing care. He retained ASA Homecare, who provided a home health care nurse by the name of Alvarez. Alberto Alvarez is the name of the man who was the nurse. And my client alleges that throughout the time he was receiving some nursing care, Mr. Alvarez began to act strange. One time he brought a sexual toy, began to show him pornography and say inappropriate things about which he complained of. Ultimately, in June of '08, my client realized that he was actually being anally penetrated by Mr. Alvarez. And he immediately, when he realized this, and he realized it because although he is paralyzed, he has a very slight sensation in his anus, and he felt in his stomach that he was being penetrated. And eventually he realized what was going on. He immediately turned back and complained about it. And Mr. Alvarez tried to talk him out of reporting it, saying he'd lose his job and he would kill himself if anyone ever found out about this. And he left. My client thereafter did contact the police, and since that time has really suffered. It's a horrible incident for a man who was already disabled, and life has thrown lots of challenges to him. And he has tried to overcome these, and unfortunately this is another obstacle thrown in his way in which he's trying to recover from. And so that's what I have. I'll let him go ahead and he wants to make a statement, and he's going to really talk about kind of just more about his feelings and not get into the specific acts themselves. And we'll translate. We'll try to do a little English for you.
Can we get a microphone storage window?
Yes. Yeah. Let me do that.
Should we put the translator next to?
Yeah. Yeah. If we can.
See where we are in the position.
So I'm going to, why don't you go on the other side?
You want me to?
I want you to go on the other side. Ask his mom to slide over.
My chair is mine. It's okay. You want me to have her stand?
Yeah, have her just stand a second. Let her sit there, please. Thank you.
Gracias.
I need to slide closer to the mic so they can hear you. So ask him if you could just talk about how this has impacted him. If you can do it first a little bit in English, just a little bit, if you could try.
Vas a decir cómo esto te ha impactado a ti y cómo usted se siente después que te ha resultado esto. ¿Puede decir algo en inglés? Una oración.
Just one sentence in English, and then we'll go to Spanish.
Estoy muy nervioso ahora.
Está muy nervioso. He's very nervous.
Yeah.
O sea, me está trayendo recuerdos atrás
Okay.
y no quiero recordar mucho.
Okay. Pero uno no puede decir nada en inglés. He's remembering everything that's happened, so it's bringing him emotions.
Okay. Let's if you could just talk about just make a brief statement if you're okay with that, just about how this has impacted you.
Nada más dar una declaración brevemente cómo esto te ha impactado a ti.
En español.
Sí, en español, dilo en español
Sí.
que...
¿Cómo esto te ha impactado?
Bueno, me ha impactado en varias cosas. Me ha impactado que cuando me acuesto con una mujer, me acuerdo de eso. Casi no puedo llegar a hacer nada con ella. Me ha impactado en Los nervios me lo ha destrozado. También me ha impactado en pesadillas, son tantas cosas. Con su permiso voy a ir recordando.
Yeah, you can translate.
Me ha impactado en, me han hecho, de esa herida me han hecho, no tengo exactamente ya de esa herida, no tengo exactamente cuántas operaciones me han hecho, pero más o menos de 15 a 20 operaciones me han hecho de ahí atrás. Y ahora es que está cerrando y tengo pactado para el día 28 que hay que subir el músculo porque hubo que cortarme el hueso.
Okay, this has impacted him very harshly. His nerves have been impaired. He feels depressed. He's very anxious. He feels agitated. He says when he would like or has desire to be with a woman, it hinders him from that. It's just very hurtful to him, and you know, his wounds have, you know, reopened of his previous wounds, and he's just medically he's worse off now than what he was before.
También me ha impactado en esta agencia ahora que tengo, son muy buenas personas conmigo, pero no me están dando los materiales que yo necesito. Sí, me siento afectado, sí, claro. Y cuando uno no tiene materiales, la enfermera no puede curar bien, y eso no va a cerrar nunca.
And he feels it has affected him within the home with the healthcare, because since he had to switch health services, the new place is not providing him with the proper materials and the proper equipment. So it's just, everything is just, he feels like it's worse and worse from after the incident.
Okay.
¿Esto ocurrió en la agencia donde tú ibas o ocurrió en tu casa?
Ocurrió en mi casa.
Before you answer, let me hear the question.
I'm sorry, where does this occur? In the agency or at his house?
Okay.
Esto ocurrió en mi casa. Esto ocurrió después de más o menos 11 meses, ya que yo le había enseñado a tocar guitarra y todo. Y entonces fue cuando ocurrió, ya venía haciéndomelo ya, pero yo sentía la punzada aquí. Y decía, esto no lo hacen nada más cuando estas punzadas, yo la siento cuando me hacen la próstata.
Claro.
Exámenes de la próstata.
He says that it occurred at his home, and you know, after a while of establishing a relationship with him, he was teaching him how to play the guitar and was becoming friendly, and then but he noticed that there was something beyond just that friendship and that you know, besides his what he was supposed to do, his duties of his employment. So he noticed that something else was going on beyond that was not correct and that was not right.
Could you ask him, please, or perhaps summarize for us whether he's angry, his emotions about what happened?
Tus emociones, ¿estás bravos? ¿Estás?
And see if he could ask if he could try to say it in English.
¿Puedes decirlo en inglés más o menos?
Poquito.
Estoy muy nervioso, me siento mal.
He says he's nervous and he's starting to feel a little bad, a little faint.
Okay.
Yo hablo un poco, pero ahora no me...
No te entra. It's
Okay.
not coming to him now. He's feeling a little nervous.
Okay, so that's fine, doesn't
No
it?
te preocupes.
De ahí empezó a darme también convulsiones.
Okay. He said after that he started to obtain
Eh,
convulsions,
Epilepsia.
epilepsy, seizures.
Me han dado 5 epilepsias ya. Porque tengo eso ahí metido ahí. Y lo que pasa es que cuando voy a estar con una señora, con una novia o algo, eso me deprime mucho. Y ahí es cuando viene el pensamiento y no sé, me despierto, me muerdo la lengua, se me parten todos los dientes.
He says he's becomes depressed when he thinks about it, and when he's going to be with a woman, and he just starts to think about what happened and all the situation. So he just feels traumatized, and it makes him feel.
I'm going to ask him, I'm going to tell you the question in English.
Thank you.
And I'm going to ask it in Spanish. Would this person perform on him prostate tests or prostate exams, and then he associated it thinking that was the case? Esta persona era la que estaba encargada de hacerte, no sé, exámenes de la próstata o algo similar.
No, los exámenes de la próstata es en el hospital.
Okay.
Yeah, the medical care he was receiving there was no reason for him to be going into his anus. This was unrelated to that.
¿Cómo te penetraba él? ¿Con un objeto?
Con los dedos. Con estos dedos. Con este me abrió la herida, que estaba bien cerrada, y empujó duro, que me lo sentí en el alma, y soltó un chorro de sangre.
Okay, I don't want to talk about the facts, just focus on his emotions.
So he just feels that he was inappropriate during the therapy that was provided to him.
And I never did quite get an answer from you about his emotions. Did you summarize them or ask him to summarize them? Is he angry?
He's not angry. He says he's more depressed and he's traumatized about the situation. It just has affected him mentally and emotionally, in the sense of his manhood and trying to, be with a woman, and just pretty much his manhood he feels like it's been mostly taken away from him.
Mm-hmm. Could I ask you to repeat that for me?
Yes, he feels depressed and traumatized about the situation, especially when he attempts to be with a woman or engage in relationships with a woman. The memories come back, and it just makes him feel depressed due to thinking about the memories from back then.
Okay, I'm going to let him stop now.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anything
What's her name?
Honey.
Your last name?
Anything you want to add?
Yeah, there's one thing I want to would just say, which is
Correct me if I'm wrong. You said that this happened in June of 2010?
08.
08.
Yeah, and he reported it back then.
June of 28.
Correct.
Did anything happen to the person back then?
No, he reported to the police, and there was they started to do things, and I'm not sure what exactly happened. We attempted to contact ASA many times to get them to take action, and unfortunately, we felt there was nothing left to do for him but to go ahead and file a lawsuit. But I did want to say one thing about vulnerable populations, because I see this all the time in the healthcare field, is that by its nature, people who are obtaining medical care are vulnerable, and they rely on the medical care providers to give them these services, but they're in these vulnerable positions. And whether they're in hospitals or whether in their home, there is this person who has this physical contact with them. And unfortunately, we're seeing this again and again, where people are being preyed upon in these medical care situations. And here, this man, who obviously very vulnerable and has to rely on this man, is completely not able to control what happens to him, and is at the mercy of this provider, which is why healthcare companies have to go above and beyond in making sure that the people who are providing the medical care are safe. And in this case, we're alleging they did not do that, and they sent this predator into this man's home where this happened.
And I have anecdotally heard of cases like this in home health care, maybe not this severe, but based on your experience, what would you call it? An epidemic, a widespread problem? What's an appropriate phrase?
Yeah, I think it's a widespread problem that is only getting worse. And there is, for some reason, it's happening everywhere. And it's happening with all kinds of populations. And so I think the healthcare industries maybe are growing so quickly that they're lost control over their own kind of security measures and preventive care that they, in terms of protecting patients.
I guess what we're asking is, like, this guy Alberto, what's his last name?
Alvarez.
Did he have any priors before he got hired at this place that they would have had a flag saying this guy is a sexual predator of some sort?
Well, I know that my client had complained to them that he was uncomfortable with this man several times. And so there was notice to them, and they failed to change his health care provider.
Oh, really? So after the initial complaint, he continued coming back?
Well, before the last time where he realized he was being sexually assaulted, there were things that made him uncomfortable. And he called and complained and said, I would like another nurse. This man's making me uncomfortable. He's doing things that I'm not, he felt weird pressure. He knew something, he felt something was up. Unfortunately, he wasn't in a position to change the nurse they were sending, and they didn't until finally the last incident happened. And so here there was notice, and there were plenty of red flags.
Did they fire him after that?
I believe they did, but you'd have to ask them. We've had a difficult time getting information from them. So.
And ma'am, can we get your name again? Did you say Hani?
Yes.
H-A-N-I?
NY.
And what, and your last name?
Urdaneta. U-R-D-A-N-E-T-A.
The lawsuit is against the agency.
Correct.
Can you reveal how much is the lawsuit right
Well, in Florida, ultimately, a jury will decide the damages. We allege that damages exceed $5 million, but ultimately, a jury will decide. We'll figure that out.
That's some kind of legal threshold, you have to say? Or
Well, the threshold's lower than that, but I put that there because I think this is a significant case, and so it's a matter of just sort of holding them accountable for what really happened.
This guy was never charged or criminally prosecuted?
Again, I don't know the exact status of the criminal case. I know there was an investigation initially, and there certainly was a criminal complaint. It would have been Hialeah Police.
Hialeah Police?
Yes. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, is there a copy of the lawsuit?
Yes. Yeah.